Hi, big thanks for dropping by today at Visual Art Photography Tutorials. Today, some quick tips on how to take some great pictures of butterflies. As usual, comments and questions can be addressed down below. Now, I don't have a dedicated butterfly garden, but I do have a garden where I've been getting a few visitors this year, and they are spectacular. So we're going to head on down to the garden, and I'm going to show you some ways that you can take some really effective and stunning butterfly photos. Let's get going.
So we're getting lucky today. We've got a beautiful painted lady butterfly that we can work on for our project.
Okay, so there are a few things to be aware of as we try to capture butterflies or whatever else may be in the garden. And there's several ways to focus, and it depends on what makes you more comfortable. That's the one that you should use. Now, for number one, you can focus manually and, get up to something and back and forth and try to do it manually. It can be really difficult. One of the problems that we have shooting in the garden like this is that even on a day that doesn't have too much wind, just a little bit of movement is going to throw your image out of focus. Just a fraction of an inch, just a few millimeters will do it. So that's one of the challenges, which is why really you want it when it's not very windy. That really helps. Sometimes shooting early in the morning is really, really good because winds tend to be a little bit lighter, and also butterflies tend to like, if you can find a butterfly just on a stalk, just resting there, it's rested overnight, it's cold-blooded, so it's waiting for the warmth of the day to get it moving again. That's always good. But we're out here and it's in the middle of the day and things are moving around rather quickly. Okay, so you can focus manually. You can also focus like this and just take your eye up. I'm going to take my sunglasses off actually so I can see better, and go in and out. And as you get to the focus point that you want, when you get what you want, and then you hit the shutter button. So you can focus that way. Now, I've tried both of the ways I just described. For me, they don't work that well, but they may work for you. What I prefer to do is to use autofocus. So I put my camera on autofocus. I get to somewhere where I want, and I get my picture. But the choice is totally up to you. Right now I'm using a macro lens, 100 millimeter, but you don't really need to do that. You can use a telephoto lens. You can use a regular lens, maybe at 80 millimeters or 100 millimeters. Use a tele extender so that you can focus in a little bit closer, that sort of thing. Okay. Normally when I come down to the garden and if there's butterflies around, they tend to go away right away, and then they come back. And once they get sort of used to you, they're not too bothered by your appearance. So different ways to do it. Take your time. You have to be really patient. It can be really frustrating. Maybe, just from the standpoint of the butterflies there in a flower gathering nectar and not giving you any problems, but just because there's a little bit of a breeze, things are going in and out of focus. And then, so, snap away, shoot away, do what you can, and you will get some great results. Butterflies are not difficult to photograph, really. It's sometimes hard to find them, but they tend to be pretty cooperative if you're patient. But your biggest thing is going to be focusing, because what you want to do usually is focus on the eyes, focus on the head, and then the rest can fall into place. I usually shoot butterflies, unless I'm trying to some kind of a special effect. I usually shoot at around f/16. I like a small aperture. I like lots of depth of field because you're going to need it. Because if you're focusing on the head, you want some of the wings, those beautiful wings, to be in focus as well.
So as we get started here, my first shot is a basic kind of warm-up shot. Butterfly on an echinacea plant. Shot at an aperture of f/16. The next one shows you that you have to be aware of what's going on besides your subject, as he has a bit of a friend here, and it's a bee. Now, I didn't want to have the background too clear, so I shot this one at an aperture of f5.6, but you have the bee coming in to help out with the gathering of nectar. This one is more of an environmental kind of shot, f14. I also use flash on this one, and it was a fill flash, so it's not full flash. You have your all of your material here, all of the flowers. You see everything very clearly, perhaps a little bit too clearly. It looks a little bit cluttered, but if you wanted to show the environment, this is the way to do it, shot at an aperture of f14 again, with some flash in there as well. Also, more of an environmental shot again, but look at the two butterflies, one at the bottom right and one at the top left, as well as the bee in the middle. So, activity in the garden. But now it's time to get a little more serious as we get a little bit closer to this butterfly, shot at f16 with fill flash minus 1.5 flash compensation. And so it lights up the wings, it lights up the face, you can see the eye, and this is where it gets really important to focus on the butterfly's face. Okay, now what it does mean is that some of the wings are going to go a little bit soft, but if the wings are sharp and the head is not, it kind of looks a little strange. So you really want to go for the clarity on the face and then let everything else just sort of fall into place. F16. Same thing here. F16, fill flash again. Minus 1.5 flash compensation. Kind of pops the wings, pops the flower, but doesn't overpower the scene. It's kind of a different look. You're always looking for a different angle and a different way to display the butterfly. And this one, you're on top of the butterfly, and you actually see the almost like feathers in there, and it's just beautiful. And of course, it complements the flower as well. But here you get a good idea of what the butterfly looks like and all of its beauty. Again, here you have it shot at f16. The flash is being used, but now we're driving the background. We want the background to look dark. We almost want it to look like it was shot at night. So what you do is you use the flash at a normal exposure, but you take your exposure compensation down. Now, in this particular one, I took it down to -3 exposure compensation. So the back is rendered dark, but the butterfly is the proper exposure. And it just makes it more dramatic. It's not something you have to do, and it's not something I was doing in the other photos. This is just another technique that you can use. Don't be afraid to use a different angle as well. This is the back of the butterfly, and kind of a look at the way it might look to the butterfly. You know, it's on the top of the flower, and it looks like it's getting ready to take off into the distance. All right, shot at f5.6 so that the background is soft and you're concentrating on the butterfly and the top of the flower. Again, though, now you're looking for a different angle. So now you get down low, and this is shot again. The exposure compensation is at -3, and the flash is lighting up the subject perfectly, and the background goes dark. But the key here is to take a different view of the subject. So you're down low, you're shooting up, and then this butterfly is coming over the top and looks to be looking right at you. But here's where the big secret is revealed. Okay, I've been using a macro lens, and I'm getting nice and close. But how can you make it appear that you're really close? Well, that's where cropping comes in. So you take a picture like this, and as long as you're focused properly on the eyes, then when you crop it, he's looking right at you. Look at the difference. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, is cropping. We have so many megapixels in our camera sensor now that you can crop down and keep all kinds of great quality. The image quality is really, really nice. And as he comes over the top of the flower a little bit more, he still seems to be looking right at you, doesn't he? With a personality as well.
So as you can see, they're a little bit skittish sometimes, but butterflies, once they settle down, can make great subjects for your photography. Until next time, I'm Ray Scott, reminding you it's not what you see, it's how you see it. And I'll see you soon.